I feel like every other video I make nowadays is critical and hating on Nintendo. I feel like people probably get the impression that I'm like a Nintendo hater, because that couldn't be further from the truth. I really like Nintendo. I have a lot of great history. Just growing up playing awesome Nintendo games. It's one of those things like I want to love Nintendo, but they make it really hard sometimes to love them and embrace them, especially recently with how they've been with, being so protective of their IPs. Now, make no mistake, Nintendo has always been very assertive, I guess we'll call it, about, regulating the use of their IPs from other companies. Like, they've never been one to just give out free rights to their IPs. But recently, like in the past year or two, or really just in the past few months especially, we've just really seen a lot of this. We've seen it with emulation, that's the big one. But I mean, geez, I just made a video literally yesterday about them not wanting to give up the rights to Samus in Fortnite because they didn't want like Xbox and PlayStation players playing as one of their characters. It's just a lot of these stories kind of just makes me shake my head, I guess, at Nintendo. And like there was that story from a month ago where the Pokemon company, obviously owned by Nintendo, was all of a sudden copyright striking YouTube videos that showed off like Call of Duty videos that were modded to include Pokemon characters as like the zombies. Yeah, so it would seem that even just like mods or like modified content that includes Nintendo IPs, they're really just not a fan of even just small stuff like that. And that brings us to today's announcement by Garry's Mod. Yeah, that's not a game I haven't heard about in quite some time. Once upon a time, Garry's Mod really took over the internet. It actually started all the way back in 2004, so 20 years ago, but in 2006, it officially launched by Facepunch Studios. I actually didn't know that, but really it's owned by Valve. It is a modified version of Half-Life 2 where the whole point is basically to make mods. It kind of like started the whole game within a game thing, and I believe it is still very popular. It still gets a lot of traction on YouTube and just online. The actual game itself still gets a lot of gameplay. But yeah, I would call this an old game at this point. It's been around for a long time. Now obviously the gamers that play Gmod, they're the ones that basically make the games within it. So of course the sky's the limit. They can make pretty much anything. And so of course because Nintendo has a lot of great IPs, great characters, stuff like that, people have naturally made a ton of Nintendo related content in Garry's Mod or Gmod. Well, there was just an announcement that was literally just posted today by the team behind Gmod, and they said that basically some of you may have noticed that a lot of your Nintendo content has now been removed from the game, and this is not a mistake. This is actually a direct result of Nintendo basically issuing a takedown notice of all Nintendo related content in Garry's Mod. And in the announcement, they even like embrace it. They say, oh yeah, we understand. But they basically said that now they have to go through 2 decades worth of content and take it down, and they basically even ask for help from anybody that owns mods that are Nintendo related to take them down, and they're asking for people to never upload any Nintendo content ever again. I just wonder, like, of all games, like, it's really weird. Of all games, Gmod, a 20-year-old game, you're now in 2024 issuing a takedown notice for it. Like, it hasn't been an issue, I guess, up until now. It's just very bizarre. It is also very surprising too, because from what it looks like, Facepunch Studios has always been very lenient about user-generated content within Gmod. They've been very hands-off, very low restrictions in terms of the content. They're very supportive of people basically making whatever they want. And now all of a sudden they are not only respecting this takedown notice by Nintendo, but they're even like coming out and saying that they agree with it and that it makes sense. So very weird. I mean, if you are into Gmod, this is in a way a sad day. I mean, it's not going to destroy obviously all of the content in Gmod, but I mean, if you have any custom map, any custom game mode that has anything to do with Nintendo in it, it looks like it is now going to get taken down. I mean, that's going to end up being a lot of content. So add, of all games, Gmod on the list of Nintendo victims, I guess you could call it. Yeah, there's just a long list now that's piling up of people, games, companies, etc. that have had to take down their content all because of Nintendo. Like I said, love Nintendo, I really do, but man, they just make it hard to love them sometimes. Today, it's Gmod. Tomorrow, who knows what game they'll go after.